Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. How are the doggos?
Watered.
Good. Will they grow big and strong now? They have enough sunshine?
They're old doggos. They're already big and strong.
Oh, how wonderful. This is not what document we're supposed to be looking at. Here we are, back in Winter's Reach. You've made yourself 3 skeletal warriors, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and shrouded them in wrapped robed disguises and dispatched them north towards Gator Beach. They've been instructed to not harm any living creatures, but should they find any undead, they will drag them under veil of night back to these orchards. And if they reach the ocean, they're to turn around.
Right.
So we'll see what trouble falls of that. And I think a Mousifer returns to bed, exhausted after a hard night's work.
Okay. Mousifer goes to bed.
And probably wakes up late in the morning.
Far too late to
day.
run into your cleric friend. He's gone for the day. Probably proselytizing down in the town, working with people there. You have a morning to yourself, or an afternoon, as it may be.
It's pleasant.
But perhaps the first news you get is from Tomas that morning.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to you, head slightly bowed, cap in hand, saying, my Lord Winter, Kari has not returned yet. She did not ever make it back.
If you have time to spare today, look into it. Make sure she's safe and sound.
I have... There's much pig left to be butchered, Lord.
Well, we can send Rosegrove to look after it then.
He shifts his weight uncomfortably back and forth, not used to being in a position to give Lord Rosegrove orders. And
I'll go find Rosegrove.
Okay. He quickly dismisses himself and hurries off.
Yeah. So I wander the grounds of my estate and see if I can find Lord Rosegrove. Is he out in the garden?
He is. He's next to that old oak tree that the branch had come down and broken the part of the wall and uncovered the hatch and everything.
There's no wall. There's
it ran into the wall of the house.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So he's over by that old oak tree, tilling the soil around its base.
I approach him. I inquire. What are you planting? Seems an odd spot for a patch. Right, I think we just left. Did we just leave the falled oak, or is he like working around?
It was just like a branch of the tree had fallen. The rest of the tree's intact. So he's working. He seems to be tilling the soil around the base of the tree. And as you ask your questions, he responds back to you with I thought the roses were doing so well, my lord, that I was going to plant another grove over here. Pink roses.
I don't think you call a group of roses a grove. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yes, my lord, I see.
He's getting older and older by the week. He's just... You only got one butler voice.
I know. It wouldn't be a problem if I didn't run so many campaigns.
Well, looking good. I don't know if you've heard, but the girl Kari stole some chickens from the old Bones family farm. I purchased her debt, but she is yet to return from her errands.
My.
I thought perhaps you could go look into the girl. Make sure some ill did not befall her on the way back.
He wipes the sweat from his brow, leans the hoe against the tree, and acquiesces. Heads off immediately down the road into town.
Well, I think I'll take a day, to relax, catch up, do some reading in my library, right? Up to a new level with a new power. Oh, I've got to recast my spirit armor.
Oh, yes.
So what is it? That just takes HP, right?
Yes.
Was I down? I think I've always been at full, but I would have to. But I was at 5 out of 7 because of my spirit armor, and then I needed to. So it's been a couple of days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was at 5 out of 7, and then I gained 3 max. So we'll just say I'm at full, and I can do the spirit armor again. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
Max HP then becomes 7 out of 10. And I will have 3 charges of spirit armor.
So 3 charges of reducing damage by 3.
Yeah, let me just remind myself what that ritual entails. Spirit armor. Oh, these are my spell list, which I do not have up at the moment. So let's see if I can track that down. regalgoblins.com/spells/secret page. I will cast myself a spirit armor. Somatic, verbal, but I need to give up HP. I think there was like
1/4 of your max HP rounded up.
Yeah, this wasn't the one with the ritual dagger. The ritual dagger was for shades or something like that, right?
Right.
Or do I need to bleed that HP?
What spell is this? Spirit armor is just HP, no souls, no life essence. Yeah. No spiritual energy, just life energy.
But is it just a somatic and verbal spell?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I need if there's no material components, there's no dagger, there's no bloodletting, there's just sacrifice of HP?
No, you've got to spill your blood somehow. I think it's somatic and verbal because there's not a specific material component required.
If you don't have access to a blade to spill your blood?
I mean, you could bite yourself, you could bite your lip, you could bite your finger, maybe you already have an open wound that just, you activate somehow,
All right, okay. Well, I guess I take a ritual dagger and conjure my spirit armor once more.
Excellent.
Oh, and we want to be on the lookout for Lilith.
Yes.
Let's see. All right, so spirit armor. What's the necromantic equivalent of conjured? Because there's a conjuration version of armor. That's
right.
Necromanticize. I necromanticize the spirit armor. Ooh la
well,
la.
even though you're not using the conjuration school, you could still be conjuring the armor or evoking it.
Oh, no. I'm reshaping it from my life force.
So you're transmuting your life force. Altering your life force?
I don't know. Necromanticizing. Is the word. All right, and now that I'm level 3, I get 3 attacks that each block 3 damage.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And yeah.
Well, your day is interrupted shortly thereafter by a Lord Rosegrove who arrives with the sheriff, actually, with Freddy.
All right.
Freddy says to you, Lord, it appears that she's gone.
Kari left town?
Yes, my lord. Well, don't know if left town's the right word, but she hasn't been seen.
Why don't we call the hunters to gather and have them be on the lookout? Maybe the loggers as well. Any of the woodsmen. Town would be the most convenient place, I suppose. Here, I'll come with. And I gather my belongings and head into town.
Excellent. You head into town with Lord Rosegrove.
What's that face?
Nothing. No faces.
You head into town make a face like that.
All your people are there, happy and healthy. You notice that some of the workmen and lumberjacks are over near the church where some lines had been drawn out with sticks, and they're chatting about how much lumber they're going to need and in what way it's going to need to be shaped and all that jazz.
Why don't we switch our view over to the town square where we're headed? It's from traveling a quarter mile. It's probably more efficient to just walk it than to ready a horse and ride.
Yeah, probably.
So I have a stroll down the hill into Winter's Reach proper. Mm-hmm. And Freddy runs off to gather, whatever woodsman he can, and they'll, pass the message on. Is Rosegrove tagging along, or does he stay at the estate?
He does your bidding. If you indicated he should come with you, then he is with you. If not, he would have stayed.
He can come with, just so the woodsmen know who to report to.
Yeah. Freddy explains to the local woodsmen and hunters what's going on and proceeds to spread word throughout the town that should Kari be spotted, he should be called immediately, and that they should apprehend her on sight.
Okay, I also will speak up and say that they're also to keep an eye out for Lilith, should she return from the north. Mm-hmm. And they can report any such information to Lord Rosegrove or Freddy. Mm-hmm. And yeah. What else did it? Was there another message I wanted to convey to these guys? Oh, I wanted to... And if you see any of 3 mercenaries clad head to toe in black, they've been they're on official lordly business, and you can, if they're sighted, don't concern yourselves, but feel free to mention, don't concern yourselves, but any information on them can be delivered to Lord Rosegrove. Maybe conflicting messages. Happy hunting. How many woodsmen was that?
Your town is what, like 290 people? I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like that.
250. We are now at 247.
Yeah. And under these circumstances, I don't know, about half the people spend their time in the woods. So about half the town needs to be told.
Okay, but we probably only gather a couple of dozen.
Right, some people are already gone for the day.
Password for the rest.
Word spreads fast in a small town. You really only need to tell the bartender that Kari is wanted, and before the end of the day, everyone will know.
Sure, okay.
So word propagates.
I guess let's stop by Lilith's hut just to be sure she's not already back.
She's
not.
So
after this gathering, the woodsman Malcifer will head to Kari's. She's not there.
Yeah, Lilith is not there.
I think I will take this opportunity to peruse her belongings.
So you have Lord Rosegrove assist you, or stand outside waiting, or do you dismiss him?
I think I send him back to he can go back to the estate.
Okay.
And I will Yeah, not her, but yeah, take a look at her. Yeah, I don't know. Her investigator hut. Give it a cursory look, see if there's anything that I feel like I should know about.
Okay.
Any signs of witchcraft or skullduggery? I don't know.
Get our...
I believe she was on the edge of the village. I
Yeah.
don't remember which direction. Was it? But it was
I think it's northeast.
northeast. Okay.
That's how it's been in my brain, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's been specified.
Fair enough.
Sure, you find her hut out in the woods, well away from what we would call the center of town, the camp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I guess Lilith, and I open the door and peer in.
Inside, you see a cat on a bed, napping in a beam of sunshine that comes down through the window between a clearing in the trees.
What color is the cat?
It's white and black, like a whitish underbelly, black top and back and shoulders, white paws, white chin.
Okay. Lilith, I say, and sort of look around the place.
The cat
Is it a
kind of perks
one-room
its
cabin?
head up and looks at you for a moment before laying back down in the sunshine.
Is it a one-room cabin?
It is. 15 by 15 house. Cozy.
Okay. I just wander around and look through her things to see what she's up to. Does she have books?
No.
No
No
books?
books. But there are many jars on a wall. Like a wall is just sort of like filled with jars of samples of things.
So
Some
what
of them-
furniture is in here? So there's this wall with shelves. There's a bed. There's a single table.
There are a few tables.
Several tables.
Yeah. Small-ish. Like there's a dining
Like a
table that's
dresser.
nestled up against a window, so you could like have your coffee and look out. And then there's more of like a work table over next to this shelf, rack of bookshelf, I guess, with stuff on it, but no books.
Is it like a single space, or is it all like cluttered up into separate little cozy spaces? So there's like a bed nook, and like the furniture separates that from the dining nook, which separates that from the kitchen nook.
No, it's all sort of like splayed out in a very open studio apartment style. Where, like the bed is pushed off in the corner, but like all that separate, but there's no real boundaries to separate. From
I
things.
casually look through that shelf that you mentioned, see what's on it. Are there labels, or is it just herbs and jars?
Mushrooms
in jars.
Herbs. Yeah, there are some things that look like they are like organic things. Like there's a pair of eyeballs floating in water in one of these jars, but they're not like human eyeballs. They're like some sort of animal's eyeballs. You don't recognize them immediately.
Eyeballs.
Yeah.
Is there a cauldron?
There is, and there's a little fire pit in I guess against one of the walls. Not all the way against, but near to a wall.
Well, I poke around.
Look, give me
if
a
there's any
perception
catches my eye.
check to see all the fun stuff.
Yeah. Oh, this is not my character sheet. Perception is 13. Lucky number 13. Nope.
No,
Nothing
so there's
really catches my eye.
Yeah.
I
There's a
leave-
lot of dangling plants from the ceiling as if they've been left to dry.
I leave the hut and go to wander the yard, if you'd call it. Does she have like a little?
She's
I
got a
don't know,
small
is there
garden.
outdoor stuff.
Yeah, there's a small garden with a small fence around it. Definitely a symbolic fence, like any animal can easily get over or through it.
Like every other fence in these lands.
Yeah, there's a stack of firewood and a fire chopping block where she can bring it down into smaller bits. There's about a
Imagine a
cord
like
of wood out
shed
there
with
already.
some wood stacked underneath it or whatever, like a
There's a small
mini
awning
roofing.
attached.
Yeah. I spiral around the the yard for a few minutes and then leave.
Okay. You take off.
And I will head. I'll swing by Big Jimmy's before I head back to. Before I head back to the estate.
Okay.
Is he outside doing any sewing, or?
Yep, he's outside sitting on his porch like always, sewing things together. He gives you a bow as you walk by.
I nod to him, and as I'm walking past, I just say, the priest was asking about you. Says he heard strange sounds.
I'm sorry, my lord.
You have to be more careful.
I try to keep her quiet, but she's restless sometimes.
You ought to be more careful.
Of course, my lord. Of course.
If you...
My lord,
Yes.
she doesn't...
What is it?
Doesn't seem quite interested in the same things she used to.
No. She's going to be different now. But that's the price we pay to keep her with us. If you can't keep her down, she won't be able to stay any longer.
Of course.
You can't keep her quiet.
He just nods silently and mumbles, of course, to himself over again.
All right, I leave the Mad Tailor to his stitching and head up the hill to the estate. Where's the rectory being built?
It is going to be built to the left of the church. It's going to be built like over here.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't quite have dimensions for it. It's going to be small, humble.
Probably just like one of these squares, even, right? Just a little shack for him to rest in. That's all a rectory is, right? Somewhere for a priest to live.
Yeah, it's their quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess as you're walking by, you can see them laying out the shape of it. It appears to be a 20 by 20 hut that they want to put right here.
Oh, so it won't be attached to the main church. It'll just be next to. So I guess it's
I suppose they could
fine.
attach it. That would save on construction costs.
No, this seems perfectly fine. I don't really intervene. I noticed this as I walk by. How many people are working? Do I just see
there's about a dozen here.
Theron and Norm. Oh, there's a dozen people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can I roll a charisma check to try and like interpret their demeanor and like body language?
Yes.
27. So I'm wondering if do the people, are they into it? Do they look like they're enthusiastically gathering together as a community to help the priest, or do they look a little...
It looks a little more matter-of-fact, business-like.
Mm-hmm.
The lumberjacks here are talking amongst themselves and like pointing out at things and clearly discussing how much lumber they're going to need and what sort of trees they're going to have to fell, while the carpenters are having a more personal conversation with Theron. And a few other people that are there are just kind of standing back and watching, chatting amongst themselves. So for the most part, it looks business oriented. Maybe a few people on the sides are like looky-looing, but they don't seem to be showing undue interest or loyalty to Theron.
Yeah. Malcifer is a little surprised to see so many involved. I kind of just expected him to make use of Norman the Carpenter and maybe few hands, but oh well, I don't think too much of it as I head back up the hill to my estate.
Okay. I think you have the rest of the day to read and study and contemplate the complexities of life.
Yeah, so I think we're waiting for the news of the Corvals, news or for Lilith's return, or for news of Kari.
Okay.
Do I want to send anyone looking after? Or to be a lookout to the east if the Corvals return. I'll bet if a night comes, he's going to show up and he would confront me directly. I can't imagine him ambushing us.
Right.
Oh, we're also waiting for news from my warrior skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll wait. Maybe if I get antsy, I'll take a night ride. But we'll while away the afternoon and evening reading. Anything happen the rest of that day?
Finishing a map of Lilith's house for future reference so I don't get lost and confused. Almost beautiful. Okay. So the rest of that day passes uneventfully. No one spots Kari. The skeletons don't return. Theron comes back near the end of the day and tells you that progress is being made and construction should start in the next day or two.
Does he seem eager to dine with me, or is he just as soon to go about his own business? What sort of routine do we fall into?
He takes his supper in the parlor.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that it depends on where you are, because you normally get called to supper by Tomas and take it in the parlor. And by the time you come to be served,
there not like a dining table? There probably is a formal dining room that is now like we wouldn't use it on daily basis. Yeah, so right. I'm probably in the parlor as well. I was probably reading, and and I take my supper there. Most of the reading in the parlor is pretty tame, right? The necromantic texts are all downstairs.
Yes.
There may be a, I don't know, a more tantalizing book on my person if I'm reading it, but I would never leave anything out that is,
So while you're sitting here, Theron says to you, it seems your people have not had a practicing cleric here for some time, or even a priest. Many of the most common rituals seem foreign to them. How is it that you've been so long without a priest?
I'd venture a guess that you're the first Arcadian priest to step foot in Winter's Reach.
Perhaps, he says, completely glazing over or not realizing the
Are you
words.
Are you a student of history, Father Theron?
I would like to think of myself as so, yes. I might even consider myself an authority on history.
Then this information should surely not be a shock to you.
I am afraid it is. Do tell me, what historical factors have I missed?
Why, the people of Winter's Reach are of the old blood. We trace our roots back to before the fall of Gadia.
Oh, yes.
When there was a priest in the chapel, which I must admit was before my time, it would have been a priest of the old gods.
Now, Lord Winter, you don't mean to tell me that the good peoples of Winter's Reach and yourself are, believers in this kooky sect?
Kooky sect?
Nonsense about old gods and new gods. There's clearly a well-defined, well-laid-out pantheon of gods who influence our lives in a day-to-day from which we draw our power, and yet no old god priest has ever performed a miracle or channeled divine might.
As you say, your gods are of a pantheon. All as one. But this pantheon is but one side of a coin, if you will. All of one power. There is a foil to this. Just as there is light to dark, life to death. The gods you worship are but half of what is.
Tell me the names of these other half. The other, what would it be, 28?
I know not their number, nor their names. For, as we have said, they're old. Perhaps kooky, perhaps gone. But, well.
Well, I mean no disrespect, but I think a good sermon about the new gods would do your people well. And yourself. Why, the might of Astaire, the greatest of the gods, is something we should all relish to bask in.
You are free to speak, Theron. But I will not force my people to listen.
Well, of course not. People ought to be free to do as they wish. Free will is the founding pillar of the ideology of Astaire. That we're all here to do as we can, but we ought to do as we ought. That makes sense to you. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. You know the saying.
There are all sorts of horses in this world.
My thoughts exactly.
Mares, geldings, and wild stallions.
I suppose.
Why even
There's no old horses.
Yeah. Why even an odd war horse or two? Pat him on the shoulder. What did he say? Or did we?
I think you guys just talked over each other and chuckled at each other. And...
All right, I take my leave, I think.
All right.
I think Malcifer is happy to have some conversation, right? Mm-hmm. An intellectual sparring partner, if you will. And until this Theron proves dangerous,
Malcifer
is putting up with his, or I don't know, putting up with his company.
Good thing to do. It's good to keep your NPCs alive for future uses rather than just killing them all. Take heart, viewers. Don't just kill every NPC you run across. Who disagrees with you?
Just kill them randomly. That's the chaotic way. So, yeah. Maybe Mousefer retires to the back wing of the house, right? That boarded up wing where the, the quirky edition of Clarice.
Yeah.
Might do some more reading in private back there.
Okay. You can get your reading in. The day passes, the evening passes. So this will be...
Can you go back to the world map? So this would be that night. I don't know what that. Probably. Did you ever sort out the date? Like, do we trust the wiki dates, or were you second guessing?
No. Don't use the wiki dates. They're not ready yet.
So this will be the night of. Let's see. Can I get a skeleton token to move around?
Yes.
Not that it's actually where they are, but just for me to walk through what I'm thinking.
Yes.
All right. So movement rate 14. You can move 14 miles a day through forest, correct? But you may have variable, whatever, but the averages are still more or less the same.
Sure.
You can move 14 miles a day through heavy terrain like forest, and twice as fast, probably over open plain. So in a day, let's say 20 miles seems reasonable. All right, there's a nice little warrior skeleton. So that morning, before dawn, the skeletons left. By nightfall, they probably would have covered...
Well, 14 miles a day would be for walking like 10 hours. If a skeleton can walk for 24 hours, it's going to go quite a bit farther.
Well, it hasn't been 24. It's been probably 16, 18 hours. So I'm trying to think where they are at this point. Yeah. So by nightfall, 10 hours later, they would have gotten, there's 8, maybe they would have gone a little faster. I mean, I think by nightfall, they would probably have made it to around the ruins of whatever, that old fort. And then hopefully in this night, they will wander through the swamp, find some undead, and drag it back. Hopefully they're fast enough to outwalk anything. I don't think anything's just gonna, like, what's gonna mess with a skeleton?
Right.
Like, I don't think even like, if like an alligator runs into them, I don't think that's that interested. I don't think alligators gnaw on bones. Maybe it'd be a problem for like a wolf pack that might want to gnaw on their bones, but I think most natural creatures would steer clear.
Yeah.
So let's see, sometime this night they'll walk through, and I think by morning they'll probably be heading south back past this region if all goes according to plan. Antsy, it's also been one full day, so by now the emissary from Corville has returned. And probably on the morrow, probably by the end of the next day, would be the first that I would see of them. So I think I want to plan out where to be. There's got to be like a hill that I can go. Well, I'll think about it. What's the Blumwood like? Like,
it's a fairly thick forest.
Are there any paths or trails through it?
Lots of paths and trails through it.
Okay, then I should know the nearest ones, right? I should be able to make a good guess as to where a traveler from the east would be coming. Is there only one real road into Winter's Reach?
It's not even any roads. It's just small trails.
Just forest. Okay.
Yeah. So someone coming from the east would, you can find it. How do I say this? The closer you are to town, the more certain you know which direction they're going to come from. You know, like if you go out 20 miles this way, there'll be enough paths and roads that all lead to this place that you wouldn't necessarily be sure which one they're taking. But if you're like only a mile out of town, then they're probably on this trail. You know what I mean?
Are there any vantage points nearby? Like any place where a watch would have been kept to keep an eye on travelers, or is that not a feature of the land?
Yeah, the canopy is too thick to have any real good places of scouting. Easy to be taken by surprise in the Blumwood.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't think there's anything in particular I want to do that night. So I am happy to skip to the next day.
All right. The next day, well, actually, the next morning, you're woken unusually early. Maybe at crack of dawn or so. You are woken by a Master Winter, Lord Winter. Comes Lord Rosegrove's calling. The sheriff is here with Kari.
I'll be right down. I throw my robe over my small clothes and head. Is my room on the second floor?
I suppose it would be.
Yeah.
Yep. One of these days we need to build a layout of your house.
Yeah.
With all of the disparate notions we've been plugging together.
All right. I'll head down the stairs.
They're standing outside, actually, not even quite in, but through the open door you spot the sheriff who has a shackled Kari with him.
Sheriff? Kari? Where did you find her?
Another farm. We caught her red-handed, dead chicken in her arms. She was plucking it, hopefully before anyone woke up, but must have lost track of time.
Was this my chicken, Kari?
She just hangs her head low.
The Bones chicken?
No, not the Bones estate, or a farm. Nearby, though.
Serial chicken thief. The Bones did receive their chickens.
I'm afraid not, my lord. I asked about them yesterday, and they said she didn't bring them. I believe this brings her theft count to 9 chickens, my lord.
Kari, what are you doing with all these chickens?
Eating them, she says.
All 9. Is Kari fat?
Well, no, like 4 chickens got stolen, and, she got captured. I guess those chickens were returned, and then you gave her 4, which are missing.
Wait, she stole chicken. Wait, I was giving her 4 chickens because I thought that 4 chickens were taken and disappeared.
So they probably weren't returned then. Yeah. I think she got away with the chickens, right? And then someone caught her, and no one knows what happens to those chickens. But the 4 you gave her are definitely gone, and then she was plucking a new one like 2 days later.
Yeah, I'm like, I asked her, all 9, I say.
What
happened to the 4 you were to take to the Bones farm yesterday?
Sold them.
To whom? Where? Where did you take the chickens, Kari?
I sold them to Edgar, the lumberjack.
What's up? Why, Kari? Are you... It can't be for the food. If you were hungry, all you needed to do was your duty, and then return here, and you would have been amply fed.
She looks up, surprised to hear this, and with big bright eyes, like, what?
All know that my house has ample pork on our table, but now you have stolen from this house.
I'll work to buy them back.
This is in my house, right?
Yeah, on the front steps. Freddy wasn't going to bring a convict into your home.
I'll take this from here, Freddy. And I drag Kari into the parlor.
He hands you the key to her shackles.
Is the cleric asleep?
He is in his morning prayers, my lord, says Mr. Rosegrove.
Kari, you will keep absolutely silent. I think hopefully Freddy's left earshot at this point.
Mm-hmm. Or whatever. He's walking down the way. Lord Rosegrove goes back to his early morning duties. Tomas is making breakfast. The priest is still in his prayers. What do you do with Kari?
Take her to the parlor. I told her she needs to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't to scream. You understand you have committed crimes, and crimes cannot go unpunished.
She nods.
You will wear a mark.
She cowers a little bit, but says nothing.
In some lands, they cut the hands of thieves, do they not? But that is not Winter's way. I put the brand into the fire to get it warming up.
She looks down, aghast. Her face begins to drain a little, going more pale than she already is.
You must accept this mark willingly. I look into her eyes and know that though you may hide the scars, those with the power will see your mark always.
She doesn't know what you mean, but
Yeah. All spirits will bear witness to your crimes.
Brand is getting hot.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually,
can you accept this mark?
she gives a somatic affirmation.
Do you need what do they call do you need a bridle or whatever? What do they call a bit of leather? Yeah.
I don't know. She shakes her head, I guess.
What's that?
She kind of shakes her head at the thought. Where are you gonna put it?
You're not going to scream?
She rolls up a bit of her sleeve and puts it between her teeth.
Roll up the other one. I think we've been putting marks on forearms, haven't we?
I think it's been the right forearm, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't see any reason to mark her on the face.
No. That would be unnecessary.
So she rolls up her sleeve, bites down on the other. I take her right hand and plunge the searing hot iron into her skin. If she screams, I'll go to cover her mouth. But...
Let me give her a morale check to see if she screams. She lets out a sharp...
Hold on. 13 charisma gives me +1 reaction adjust, but not +1 loyalty base. No.
Reaction adjust is what we're looking for here, though.
Reaction adjust? Not
yeah,
loyalty base is like morale in combat, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. You're totally
reaction
right.
adjust is people's disposition towards you.
Yes.
Damn. Should have taken that high charisma.
So she lets out a single, like, ah! At the first bit, but catches herself quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe you catch her, too.
Well, I probably need two hands to... One hand to hold and one to... Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's why she yips. I give her a look and she, like, covers her own mouth, but... That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we brand Kari with the mark of servitude, which will make all of my spirits know that, I don't know. I didn't tell her complete lies.
No.
Half-truths.
Yeah, and, once the brand is done, she collapses into a comfy chair, wincing at the pain.
Rest up. Tomas.
He bumbles in, looks
Bring
around.
some bacon.
He sees what's happened.
Bring some bacon to cover the smell of burning flesh. And I set the brand aside. And see to her, and get some, well, I don't know. And clean up that wrist, I say to Kari. And I leave. Message sent.
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, kind of briskly walking down the hallway, comes Theron. Good morning, Lord Winter. I thought I heard a weird sound.
I've
Did Tomas cut himself in the kitchen?
No, I've been scolding a chicken thief. And I think I like brush him off and walk away, not to explain it further.
Right, you're trying to brush him off. He's like, hold on.
There's bacon in the
thief.
Would
you like me to talk to her? Astaire is the god of law and order, after all. I bet I could set her straight.
Is she nearby? Like, is this like happening in the hallway outside the parlor?
I think so.
And she's in the parlor. Like, can I chance a glance to her just to gauge her reaction?
Her
like
reaction, she's holding her arm and staring at you. And what do you mean? Could she handle a conversation?
Does she look like she could handle a conversation with Theron right now?
Yeah, she can talk to a person.
All right. I shrug and let Theron and let Theron talk to.
He walks into the room and immediately sets in on the tale of who's the heroic figure that had to be led to the path.
Was this some story of some saint?
Yeah, some person who was so far astray, and then they found the path and they followed it, and they turned them life around and became a great and heroic figure.
Yeah, I think Malcifer splits, leaves Theron to proselytize Kari. Tomas has got the whole house smelling of bacon, and he brings some in a second.
Yes.
And I will kill some time, rest during the day, because I think that evening, I want to head out into the Blumwood and potentially spot any riders coming in. Yeah, so I'll kill the day and then patrol that night.
Okay. Kill the day, we patrol the night. Right. That night, you are out in the woods patrolling.
Okay, so we're just skipping to that night.
Yeah,
we're skipping to that evening. Yeah, so I think if it's by evenfall, I'm probably east of Winter's Reach. Hopefully, I'm imagining there's like a crossroads, maybe a mile out of town, with a signpost that says like Winter's Reach this way, like an old creepy wooden sign. Would it have signs? Is there anything else out here? Like, is there like this other village up this way?
There are lots of villages scattered
Pine
throughout
Spur, 16 miles that way. Okay, so it's like a signpost with maybe 3 or 4 markers, one of which is Winter's Reach. And I think
other village is probably only like 5 miles from Winter's Reach. There's probably a few of them scattered around here.
Okay. So I'm mounted on the light warhorse, armed and armored. Probably just in full-on chainmail.
Okay.
And, yep. Riding around, keeping an eye on for interlopers.
Why don't you give me an opposed perception check?
I'll give you a perception check. I would have, like before sunset, I would have been headed west and north. It sounds like I probably wouldn't have seen anything, but like to see if like the skeleton warriors are returning or if I see Lilith coming.
Right. So you circle around the town.
Yeah, I would have ridden far enough. I would probably west out of the estate and then far enough north that the forest thins to maybe get a view to see if any travelers are coming from the north.
Yes, you would have run into Lilith that evening then, because she's making her way back to town this night. So you probably run into her near sunset, maybe like half hour before sunset, and maybe half hour out of town.
Then I would flag her down. Well met, Lilith. I pull my horse up alongside her. How fares the fallen knight? Too many fallen knights to keep track of.
He will recover. He's doing well.
In town, you will find our friend, the cleric, has decided to extend his stay.
Are we happy about this?
I'm not the lord of your emotions. He has taken notice of Janet and her cries, and asked that you stop in on Jimmy.
I could do something about her cries.
I nod. Good. And yes. Do.
Excellent.
I don't think there's anything else. I think I'm just I'll speak to you on the morrow unless there's something else. And then from there I would have ridden out east to set up at that crossroads where I'm rolling a perception check, right?
Thank you.
My perception is 13. And we got 25. So I'm, probably perched in the woods, maybe 100 meters from the crossroads, watching and waiting, probably absent-mindedly trotting the horse around as, get different vantages as the time goes on.
Yeah, and after maybe a minute or two of marching around, a man emerges from behind a large bush. He must have been there for at least a little while, because you definitely didn't see him enter from any section of the bush. And over his shoulder he has slung a small deer, very small, maybe 4 months old, 5 months old.
Hail. He waves me down, or
no, he just sort of like steps out from behind the bush and onto the trail. You notice at his side is a short sword, and over his back is a hunting bow.
Yeah. Do I recognize this as one of the hunters of Winter's Reach?
He is not a hunter of Winter's Reach.
Really? Is this still my land, at least in my mind?
Yes.
Yeah. Like how far outside of town like how much of the Blumwood do I think is my land? Like where's the next lord?
The closest
And I would
village
still-
is 5 miles away, so you could argue very reasonably that everything within 2.5 miles is yours. But you could also argue that for more or less territory, depending on the natural boundaries, you could.
Yeah.
A lot of wars
But
have started
this is
over
very
this
clearly
sort of-
within 2.5 miles. This is like 1 mile, so this is definitely. And is he walking east, west?
He is heading. He came north, south onto the trail, which is when you hailed him, and then he turned to speak to you. The trail does run
he's speaking
east-west.
to me.
Well, you spoke to him, and he is about to speak to you.
Okay.
So the trail runs east-west, but he came off of the north side of the trail onto it.
And he's heading east with the deer.
Maybe.
Or he's heading north onto the trail.
No, he's heading south onto the trail from the north. But then at that point, he doesn't go either east or west because he stops to talk to you. That makes
Okay, so
sense.
he spots me trotting around in the
spots you.
woods. And
Oh
I
yeah,
spot
as he
him.
walks out with eyes on you, as
Okay.
if maybe he's been watching you from the bush for a moment. And he responds to your hail with a bow and a one-handed wave.
This here's Winterland. We don't take kindly to poachers around these parts. I've got a crossbow across my lap, by the way. And I think a bardish
shot
on the
it.
horse. Or a battle axe on the horse, sure.
I shot it some miles back, and it ran this way. I've been following it. Just happened to die here. But it's from outside of your woods, my lord.
You know who I am, then.
You must be Lord Winter.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on using charisma and stuff to gauge the trustworthiness of NPCs? Like, would you like me to be rolling charisma checks to base my right? So if I believe this guy, I'll probably tax him and send him on his way. If I think that he's lying to me, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any do you think we should just should I roll a charisma check?
Why don't you give me a charisma check?
Yeah, keep rolling these lucky 13s. 19. So do you think that means that I have no idea, or it could go either way?
I think
I'm not
you're
sure.
having a hard time gauging his truthfulness. His story certainly could be true, or it's a common lie that you might tell, and you can't read them well enough to discern.
How long did you chase that doe?
Part of an hour?
Well, if you know who I am, you know how foolish it would be to lie to me. Tell me, who's your lord? From where do you hail?
He nods and says, "Thank you, my lord," and heads down the road to the east.
I didn't just wait. Where do you think you're going? I ride the horse, head him off.
A little bit.
I'm mounted. I ride in front of him and head him off. Where are you headed, man?
To prepare the deer before it spoils, of course. Doesn't take long to spoil.
Stop. Right where you are. I think by now I've pulled the horse in front of him. Which direction? You said he was running east?
Yeah, he was running east. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've pulled the horse in front of him and headed him off. Stop right there. To whom do you swear fealty?
And at this, he will drop the doe, pull out the short sword, and immediately open attack.
Super weird. All right, rolling initiative, or...
Yes. Here we go.
New battle track?
New battle track. Wow, he rolls a natural 1 plus initiative plus 3 is for 4.
Oh, that's pretty good. So he draws a short sword and rushes the horse and me.
Yeah, because you turn to cut him off, and so he just tosses the deer, draws the sword, and immediately goes to stab you in the thigh.
All right. They stab me.
I haven't rolled it yet. I want to give him an initiative.
Stabs at me.
Stabs at you. Yeah. Let's give him. And turn. You're going at 4. Fantastic. All right. I know it doesn't matter, but I need to do it anyway. So his attack comes with a 7 to hit, kind of missing you
close.
Completely. Yeah.
I should mention
he is in hunting leathers. So AC
hunting
13.
leathers. Okay, he's not like armored or anything. I get a natural 1 on my. So I try to shoot him point blank in the chest with a crossbow. And what goes wrong? Does it misfire? Do I shoot something else instead? Should I roll save versus death?
He goes to make a please do that. He goes to make a swipe at you just as you're firing your bow, and to block to avoid the thing. You end up blocking the sword attack with your bow, and
I pass my save versus death. I feel like necromancers should have better save versus death, but we can rethink saves another time.
I think that's a nomenclature issue.
That's a pass, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed. But anyways, for now, that's still a pass.
Yep.
So it just goes. He goes to stab at me as I'm pulling the trigger. Didn't expect him to be so quick. Can I also command the horse at no penalty? Right, it's not like you don't need to make like an offhand.
As long as you have a horseback riding proficiency.
Yeah, I got a horseback riding proficiency. So I will. As maybe me commanding the horse to move is what's so jarring. So is that not an animal handling? It's just a horse riding, which is my best skill. Adding 18 to my d20 to command the horse. Whew, good thing I'm so good at this. So I spur the horse into action, which tries to maybe just rears up and kicks him in the face. Like I don't need to do a full-on overrun, but so I have the horse rears up. My shot goes like flying into the canopy of the trees as Horsey makes an attack roll. I don't know if horses get a bonus, but a 10. Does the leather soak that? Is that how you want to like?
We're not gonna do soak. We're gonna do normal AC.
Yeah. So the leather deflects that, right?
Yeah. It's not a hit. I think horses actually have like +2 or 3 to hit.
Then maybe that's the hit. Because does it have high ground for being a large creature against?
No,
that's not a thing,
right? You never
get
high ground for large creature size. Yeah.
Okay, but it might get if it's a light warhorse. You know what I feel like could be cool is adding rider's skill to horse attacks and stuff like that. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
At the very least, let's look up our horsey.
Horse. Warhorse, right?
Yeah.
That was only 19.
Okay, so it gets a +1, which is not enough to go through leather.
Yeah. This shit is broke, though, because a riding horse has THAC0 17.
Wait, what? I don't believe you.
I'm looking at the table right now.
Why on earth would a warhorse have less than a...
I think someone made a mistake. A riding horse should probably have 19 THAC0, maybe even 20. The wild horse should have 19. The light warhorse should maybe have 19 or 18. The medium, 18 or 17. The heavy, I could say it's 17 or 16. It's got 4+4 hit dice. So maybe even 16.
You're looking at the monsters manual?
I am.
Are they under H for horse? Or,
they're under H for horse.
Horses. That's a light horse, not a light war horse, right?
No, those are... Yeah, those are light war horses.
No, because the light horse has 2 hit die and 19 THAC0. Oh, light, medium, heavy.
Yeah.
Draft.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Oh, but it has 24 movement.
Mm-hmm.
But the riding if you look has...
more hit dice, better THAC0, less damage.
What's their... And their movement is 24. The riding horse is the best horse.
I guess the light war horse gets better damage, but...
Yeah.
But shittier everything else. Yeah.
Anyways, we don't need to rewrite this, right?
I'll rewrite it another day.
For now, Thaco 19. Okay.
Thaco 19 or 18, and it's a miss.
Oh, but it gets 2 attacks, right? One with each hoof. That's what it looks like to me.
That's true. Yeah, give me a second attack.
That's why they nerfed its Thaco.
Ah.
+1 to hit, but it's got 2 kicks, which each do d6 damage.
Riding horses both have 2 kicks too, so.
And a 15 ought to do it, right?
Yeah.
The riding horse, they only do d2 with each, whereas this guy does a d6. So he does get kicked for 3 points of damage.
All right.
And we're rolling
the hunter
initiative
is
again.
wounded but lives. He'll go at 11. I gotta fix this overlay, which are making our initiative rolls not show up on stream.
So it's 13 by the time I get my crossbow reloaded.
Mm-hmm.
Does the horse go at the same time as me?
Yeah. The hunter is going to try and like get around to the other side of the horse from you, or get to a flanking side.
I think I just rotate the horse and we face each other off again.
Yeah, it's a skirmish back and forth. But he's going to go for an attack with a 12 to hit.
No, I have chainmail.
Oh yeah, there's no way it's going to hit you.
So
he's
then,
definitely desperate in this situation.
I think the horse comes back. Stands up on its feet again, bringing its hoofs down. Does a 13 will hit leather.
But it doesn't hit him. He has at least +1 AC for Dex.
Okay. Okay, and then I guess I will take my shot with a crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
Oops,
Nope,
that's
D20.
11 is a miss.
No.
So I think it's just hard to reload a crossbow and shoot it point blank range in this sort of scuffle.
While you're also trying to get your horse to rear up and hit him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a complicated dance between you guys. He goes at 5.
Yeah. Which is surely for my initiative is 8.
Okay, yeah.
So he
takes a disengage and bolts into the nearby woods as the sun is, really low, long shadows, lots of darkness and light contrasting. So he kind of disappears through the trees. On your turn,
I'd like to try and run him down. Maybe there's some roll to see if I can follow him.
Yeah, give me a perception check just to follow him through the woods at night.
Yeah. 13. 22. So if it were in good conditions, I could see him. Maybe there's some disadvantage for the low light. These are my woods, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the advantage and disadvantage of wash. I can get
and you're on horseback, so the branches might get in the way sometimes, but you can still move at a quick pace.
So I'll take a shot at his back with a crossbow.
That'll
16
hit him.
For 7 points of damage. I think that probably brings him down.
It does. He lands face first in the dirt.
And I think I had already worked the horse up to run him down, so I think we trampled the corpse and turned back around.
All right.
And I go to inspect this body.
His body is still broken ribs, crossbow bolts in the back.
I
looks just like a regular hunter.
Search the body.
It looks just like a regular everyday hunter, probably a poacher, considering the actions that just transpired.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really have very much on him. He's got some amount of cash. He's got 1 silver and 13 copper on him.
I'll write it down just cause. $13 copper. All right. He had a bow, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Which maybe is still intact, and a short sword.
Bow, short sword, quiver of arrows, leather armor.
I'll go to gather him up. I'll gather the body of the poacher next to the deer, gather my horse, and I think I'll wait here for another maybe a couple hours. I think I field dress the deer. I'm not I'm not proficient in meat lore, but I do have an anatomy. And a torturing. I'm perfectly qualified to field dress a deer. I take the hunter's knife and like split its belly, get the like entrails out so that the meat doesn't sour. I'll probably fill a saddlebag with entrails to take those back. That's always good pig food. And get the deer and the human ready for transport back to Winter's Reach.
Sorry, I just have to quote you on something. Perfect. All right. No one else shows up from this direction. The night passes. You return with the man and the deer, or just with the deer?
Yeah, so after a couple hours, both man and deer, I head back to the estate. I take the man out beside the house and drop him down, and I unlock the cellar, drop him down in there. I drop the field dressed deer off by the kitchen for Tomas to see in the morning. I drop the entrails in, I don't know, our pile of guts for Rosegrove's fertilizer. We probably got a pile of fermenting guts going. I can just a compost pile. And if there's still time that night, I guess I'll raise this huntsman
As a zombie.
Zombie's probably easiest, right? No need to flay the bones. Yeah, let's just do another zombie. What does that cost me?
A year of your life.
That's even easier.
And maybe a chicken? No,
No,
a
I
year of your
think
life.
I think just a year of my life.
Yeah.
All right. Year of my life subtracted. Undead. One more zombo. That makes 12. Short bow will be set aside for skeleton warriors.
Okay.
As well as the short sword. And before dawn, I'll clean myself up, go down to rest. Yeah.
Excellent.
Sounds good. I have 82, so I'm 25 out of 82 for my years.
You've used 25 of your 82 years?
No, 82. I've been subtracting from the 82, so that was originally 103.
Okay, got it.
I'm 25 actual years, but my max age has been reduced to 82.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah. So you wake up the next day, late in the afternoon.
Early in the afternoon. Skipped the whole morning, though.
Yeah, sure. Early in the afternoon. And, all is well on Winter's Reach. The building is going according to plan. The rectory will be built shortly. Those skeletons haven't come back yet. Lilith has returned. Clarice has paid her price. Lilith will tell you that she has removed the lungs and vocal cords from... what was her name?
Janet. Little
Janet.
Jimmy.
Yes. She opened her up, removed the lungs and the vocal cords, and stitched her back together. So she shouldn't be making any more noises.
Level 3 zombies? I do, don't I? Let's read what those do. Maybe I did make that guy into a level 3 zombie. Let's see.
I think it's animal zombies at level 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's large zombies. There we go. So you could kill your horse and raise it as a zombie.
Which have a move speed of...
half of their original.
So a zombie horse still moves at
12.
At 12. Interesting. All right. All right, then. So all is well in Winter's Reach. Kari she's now working at the estate. I guess she's there the next day, tending to the chickens.
Yes.
Or whatever.
If that is what you had instructed her to do.
I told, 2 days, her initial sentence to earn off the chickens that I had paid Bones was for her to, serve Tomas until it seemed like she paid it off.
Mm-hmm.
So did she return to that original arrangement, or did she split?
I think so. Yes. She works on the estate now, helping. You did need a animal caretaker, didn't you?
I think so. Is that getting too much for Tomas? But yeah, so I think Kari
he's already
will,
cooking and cleaning the house, and then taking care of the animals. Now helping you raise and lower pigs. Like
Kari has an affinity for chickens, so why don't we let her work with them?
Excellent.
She can eat all the chicken and pork she can eat. She wasn't fat before; she will be now.
Well then, Lord Rosegrove will bring it to your attention. Then, whenever you seem to be just chilling, that Kari, she lives in a poor lean-to tent out in the village.
Did she return home last night?
He nods.
And came back this morning?
Yes, my lord.
Set her up in the servants' quarters. We can open the old wing.
Of course, my lord.
Where have Tomas and Lord Rosegrove been staying? Did they just set themselves up in noble rooms, or did they have servants?
They definitely stay in the servants' quarters. There are nice big noble rooms available, but they don't.
That are
nobles.
Sealed up or whatever, haven't been occupied in a generation or more.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably, I bet there's a women's servants' quarters that was sealed up.
There's the men's side and the women's side.
Yeah. So we can open up the women's side, and Kari can stay here on the estate.
Yes. Lovely. Excellent. Well, what events do you have that you want to? What things do you want to do?
I am going to stay in Winter's Reach until I hear from the Corvals. Probably several more days. Mm-hmm. And if I don't hear anything, I may actively go to see what's going on there.
Okay.
And I also want my warrior skeletons. If the warrior skeletons aren't back in another day, I'll probably be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And then go looking for them. So we'll pass at least one more day.
Okay.
Do we want to take another break, or shall we just keep going to bring this episode to a close in the near future? Or our schedule's all out of whack?
Our schedule's so broken, yeah. Let's keep going.
Okay, so probably another 10, 20 minutes or so?
I don't know. We'll feel it out.
All right.
Let's pause the ultra dramatic, creepy music for a moment.
Yeah.
A day will pass.
Okay.
You'll get your research and development time in. Everyone is
think
sort of doing stuff.
By probably the wee hours of that night, I will go out in search of my skeletons, if they haven't showed up by then.
Yeah, they haven't shown up yet.
Okay.
To the best of your knowledge, they went north to go bring back any undead, and that was the last you saw of them. Oh yeah, it should be from.
And it's been, I think,
move you down
36 hours or so at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So by now, I would have expected them to return unless something went wrong.
Yes.
By morning, it will be 48 hours.
Yes.
So maybe around hour 40, I will go for a midnight ride by lantern light north in search of my skeletons. And I'll probably aim to return a little after dawn.
You venture out by lantern light. No backup with you. Cruise around on your horse for a while, heading north through the Blumwood.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chill night. Temperatures are low. The lantern provides you some warmth, which is nice. And after a few hours of riding, you find yourself exiting the Blumwood to the north.
All right. I will wait for dawn. I'll wait till dawn to get a view of the plains to the north. I'll find like a nice hill that I can look out, in the light of the dawn to see if I see 3 black figures on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And if the sunlight reveals nothing, I'll turn around and head back.
The sunlight reveals nothing, unfortunately.
All right. Then I will return back to Winter's Reach in the early morning. Stable my horse and get some rest if nothing calls for my attention.
Nothing calls for your attention. You get rest. A few more days will pass, actually.
Okay. I'm thinking Mouseford does take several more of these rides, but it sounds like I have no sightings of anything.
No sightings of anything.
To the north, no sign of the warrior skeletons. To the east, no sign of the Corvals.
Right. Life is just plodding along fairly well and smoothly. Although
I will
those
have sent a
skeletons
message. What's that?
Nothing. Go for it.
I will have sent a message to the woodsman to stay on alert. Kari has returned. Lilith has returned. But the mercenaries and emissaries from the Corval are still at large. Mm-hmm. And I think just in general, it's probably a good idea to have an active network of woodsmen. So, sheriff and probably the barman will have been notified to just, get the word out that woodsmen are to let their lord know of anything suspicious. Mm-hmm. Or anything really, right? We're pretty isolated. Anything is news in this part, so I'd like to know if at first sighting of anyone anyone entering our woods.
Sure. You will see. Go ahead.
And I guess if you pass, I'll have to do something more proactive if we don't hear any news.
I think as you're riding through the town on one of these days, looking about, you will see the sheriff scolding Crimson, the woman that showed up, the girl that was arrested. She never left, actually.
Oh, I ride on over.
She
and
has
dismount.
Made enough money to purchase a tent and is trying to, set it up not too far away from the center of town, and the sheriff is scolding her for plopping her tent down in the middle. You're an outsider and a new person here. You don't deserve to live this close to the center of town.
What's the, do I know the protocol? How does land ownership here? Do I own everything? Is that basically how it works?
Everything is your land, yes.
And is there a chain of command into who owns what? Like, I imagine all of the prime plots have been staked out for generations, right? So it's not...
Yeah. But all she has is a small tent.
Mm-hmm.
So she can easily squeeze in between places that are... and that's the problem, is that she's squeezed herself in too close to town, probably near the church property, in one of those ill-defined borders where no one's really using the land, but no one's too close to each other. And
Malsifer, Lord Winter pulls on over and dismounts. Mm-hmm. What's going on here? And I think he puts 2 and 2 together, seeing the tent. Mm-hmm. Now, Crimson, was it?
She nods. Yes, my lord.
These are ancient soils. You can't just go plopping your tent down next to so-and-so's ancestral home. If you'd like a place to stay, we can find you a plot somewhere more agreeable.
Well, with no real walls, I wanted to be as close to the center of town as possible to keep woodland creatures at bay. Wouldn't do to wake up to a bear sitting in my tent.
The huntsmen here do an excellent job keeping the woods at bay. Come, I'm sure we can find something more amenable. Who would be responsible for sorting something like this out?
You would be. You are the lord of this land, yeah.
Okay.
Although you can delegate.
So I'll find
sheriff.
somewhere agreeable. I'll find a plot of land that is not. I'm sure we have plenty of land on the outskirts of the village, right?
Mm-hmm.
Down some road, I'll find her something that seems like a nice spot, but it's not too high traffic. So yeah, I'll go.
Right, you move her to the edge of town.
If I see Theron about, I will bring him into this. But
oh yeah, he's definitely about.
I'll flag him down.
How can I be of service to you, Lord Winter?
This is Crimson. She's an outsider.
Yes, I've been acquainted with Crimson.
Have you? Well,
Yes.
she saw fit to set up her tent in the center of town.
My. Bold, aren't we?
The lands of winter are harsh, but we have enough land to spare. Enough space to spare. I can set her up somewhere more amenable on the outskirts of town, but... Well, Crimson, this is Theron. It sounds like you've already been acquainted.
She gives him a wink.
I'm not sure what to make of that wink. Well, perhaps you can help her move her. Perhaps you're feeling generous and would like to help her move her belongings.
Why, they say the great Herodicus of old helped the poor move their belongings from one place to another. I believe I can, not too high and mighty, to help a young working girl move her possessions.
I'm glad that was amenable to him. So he can help her relocate her tent a couple hundred feet away to the outskirts of the village to her new plot.
Probably
and
a few
I
thousand
give him
feet
that
away.
opportunity to proselytize the prostitutes.
Yes.
Tell her the
about
proper order of things.
law and order and the yada yada.
We'll tell her about the taxes another time.
Okay. So a few more days pass. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Actually, I mean, actually now time seems good if any. Like I know this is a new tent, right? She had purchased this tent.
Mm-hmm.
So as they're going to like break it down, like, so Crimson, seems like you're doing well enough for yourself. It's a fine tent you have there.
Thank you, my lord.
I hope you know that every resident of Winter's Reach pays their fair share to to the Lords of Winter.
Of course. Say no more, Lord Winter. I understand.
Yeah. Does Freddy collect the taxes or?
I think your taxes
sheriff
come
doesn't-
in a form of like a combination of like food and stuff, and then also like labor.
Yeah.
So
is that
it's a little-
brought, so is that brought directly to me, or do I have a tax man?
That would probably be you. The sheriff probably goes. Actually, the sheriff probably is the one who gets the goods and delivers them to you, or oversees their transport. Yeah.
That's probably his main day-to-day job, and then he brings these disputes. Okay, so sheriff / taxman, unless we want to introduce another taxman. All right, you can yeah.
He will set her up so she will pay a
Yeah, you
portion
can-
of her wages to the sheriff. She's used to taxes.
Yeah, you can. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can deliver such taxes to Freddy, but if there's any issues, don't hesitate to bring them up with me personally. I look to Freddy
She steps forward at
with
this
a look
moment.
that reminds him of the first incident involving Crimson. where the poor woman was handcuffed in his room
days.
for 2 nights.
She approaches you and says, other estates I've lived in have preferred to take their taxes in service instead of coin? Is that your proclivity?
I mount my horse and ride off. Actually, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
We didn't get a very good description of Crimson, but so far I haven't been too impressed with her character.
Yeah. She's sort of the, pushed out from plenty of other towns and looking for just any place to live. I think calling her desperate would not be a far stretch. So, poor girl.
Poor girl indeed.
Yes. Where has she come to for safety and shelter? Probably would have been better off wherever she was before.
Nonsense.
So, a few days pass. No sign of your skeletons. Probably gone for good. When... I guess it's probably mid-afternoon. What would you be doing in the mid-afternoon on a random day?
Malcifer's a night owl, so mid-afternoon is maybe like just when he's getting active, so he's probably broken fast and milling about the estate, maybe getting ready for a ride somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So brushing down the warhorse.
Yeah. It's a lightly rainy day, just a little bit drizzly outside, when you are approached. I shouldn't say when you are approached. When there comes a knock on the door, and you can hear the sheriff, half out of breath, saying, "Lord Winter! Lord Winter!"
I'm out here, Freddy. And I probably approach from the stables.
Right. He comes over to you and, my good lord, there seems to be a small retinue of soldiers arriving along the road. One of the hunters saw it and came back to me in town quickly. Maybe 2 spear?
2 spear. Damn. Is Theron in the village?
Yes.
I'll be down in a moment. Or in a few minutes.
Okay.
Could really use those warrior skeletons right about now. Alright, I am going to assemble all of my undead from beneath the cellar.
Okay.
I have, by my count, 12 zombies and 8 skeletons. I get all of them out of the cellar and into the lawn out back by the oak.
This is not a good sign.
What isn't?
You're gathering all of your undead.
Well, you're coming at me with 2 spear.
For those of you watching, a spear would be a knight with 8 soldiers. 8 one-hit die guards. You didn't catch that earlier. Yeah. So you arrange your zombos.
Mm-hmm. And my skeletons.
Is that 12 zombies and 8 skeletons I see?
Yeah. And for now, they will wait out here. I'll have them wait. I'll assemble them in the orchard. So they're some distance from the house. At first glance, you may not spot them.
Right.
I'll tell them to wait here until my further command. Would they ever go loose? If they smell flesh, would they go running off after it, or will they
Quite
wait
likely,
here?
yes.
Yeah.
You can tell them not to attack someone, but that order sometimes slips. They're quite dumb. Or I should say it's got a shelf life.
Yeah.
You know,
So okay.
a
So once
half-life
I've got
of an hour.
Yeah, so this is probably 5 or 10 minutes to assemble them all out there. And I will get on my mail, grab my bardish, mount up the horse, and go riding towards town. Has the sheriff already taken off? Or is...
No. Well, yeah, because what would you have told him to do while you went to assemble your
I
undead?
said I'll be there in a few minutes, and I guess he left
No,
town?
he would have stayed. Probably...
He hasn't been... Let me check my...
near the stable. He has not been branded.
He's not been branded. So then I think before pulling the skeletons out, I would have sent him off. Like I would go to unlock the basement, and I'll say, I'll be asking him as I'm unlocking the basement, how far off were the soldiers spotted?
They must be 15 minutes away by now. Quite close.
15 minutes. So
Yes, Lord.
Woodsman spotted them earlier today?
He came running as soon as he saw them.
Good,
but
good
they
man.
were closely behind him.
All right. Head on into town. I'll be not 5 minutes behind you. And so I send him back to the office. I assemble my skeletons and zombies in the orchards. Actually, if they're coming from the east, 15 minutes. I probably can't be.
Take
Well,
you
we'll
15
see.
minutes to get your zombies out of the basement alone.
Yeah, does it take that long? Okay, so I've got them assembled in the orchard. It's sunset now, or what time? This is during the day.
Yeah, it's mid-afternoon, so sun is low, but not setting. .45 degrees.
And I will get myself ready and mount up. And by then it's been probably 15 minutes. Can I see anything happening? Like, can I see into the village from my...
Well, you don't need to see in the village because they are coming up the road towards you.
Is it just them, or...
What you see, it would be a group of lightly armed militia, accompanied by 2 men on horseback, or 2 armored figures in horseback, and a single carriage.
Okay. All right, change of plans then. I find Tomas, and I instruct him to sneak out of the estate. Go find Lilith, inform her that, right, these soldiers have come, and that she should bring Theron some tea, and make sure he does not interfere. She'll know what that means. Now go. Don't be spotted. Head
He
south
bolts.
or whatever, like the...
Yeah,
And
he
I
has
go
a
to my
back of the
skeletons and my
state,
zombies.
wraps around. You get to your skeletons and zombies in the orchard.
And they were waiting in the orchard, but now I'm going to assemble them at the hedge line if I can. Like,
Right.
all right, guys, conceal yourselves in the hedge line and wait for the soldiers to get within striking range before you attack. And so we'll see what timing is like if I can get them assembled in the hedge line before they're up the hill.
So the tactics of basic undead, they will attack the most available enemy. If placed in an ambush, they will attack targets the moment they become available, right? They don't have a concept of when, just I can see it, I'm going to kill it.
Yeah, but if they're hiding in the hedges, they probably won't see them until they're like passing the hedges.
Right.
So if I have enough time, I probably spot them from a quarter mile off. That's how far it is to town, which is about
But on a rainy day, yeah, maybe a quarter mile you can still see.
1,000 feet uphill. So that's probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I delivered Tomas a message, so it'll be pretty tight. They'll be getting into place as people are coming up the hill.
The orchards are within the hedgerows, right?
They're up against it. I probably would have had them near to the estate, but I think the orchards start at the hedgerows and then go out to the coast.
Got it.
But
So
they're
you pull them
adjacent to
back
the
and
property.
into the hedgerows. Would the path out of the estate go through the orchard?
No, the orchard is on the bluffs. The orchard is out west, so yeah.
Okay.
South and west.
South
And the
west.
town is to the north and east.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Got it. So you bring your zombies in. The armed guards are approaching.
Mm-hmm. And I will be at my estate, I think.
Where at your estate? Near the hedgerow?
Actually, maybe I should ride out to meet them. Do they look like they have archers with them?
Knowing how these companies are assembled, there's probably at least a few archers.
Okay. I'll ride out past my hedges if I can to meet the, only a little bit, maybe like 100 feet down the path.
Absolutely, yeah.
To meet the advancing soldiers.
You see them. They've arrived. The foremost mounted knight speaks loudly and clearly, saying, Lord Winter, I presume, we are here to recover the body of Kel Corval, and more importantly, to see to justice. We are recalling you to Pine Spur to face charges of, well, murder or what's the word for inept? Like poor leadership. Oh god, there's a word for it that I can't think of right now. Not quite negligence, but derelict of duty and murder. Or murder.
You accuse me of murder?
A good man, a landed knight, died on your grounds for no reason. You are not fit to deal out capital punishment crimes. Those are reserved for the counts and the queen herself. You have no authority here in this matter.
The Lord of Winter on his lands is as good as king. If you accuse me of
treasonous.
If you accuse me of murder, then you'll have to come get me. And I turn the horse around and head back up to my estate.
They will follow.
All right. So I ride to my estate, luring them past the hedge wall where they will be ambushed by undead hordes.
Yes. Do you have control over skeleton tokens?
Yep, I can move that skeleton.
Perfect. All right, how many skeletons do you have?
8.
Okay, and also they should each have 8 out of 8 HP. Voila. Let me change it. There. Okay, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skeletons.
And 12 zombos.
Uh-oh.
There are likely other gaps in the hedge wall. Actually, maybe not, huh?
Probably not.
There's probably another gap. There's probably other ways through on the far side near the out to the orchards. Maybe there's like side entrances or something. By the way, down would probably be like northeast, right?
Oh, I was gonna have you guys, the skeletons on the bottom side and them coming from the top. I just hadn't.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Need to do. I just want to make sure we've got proper skeleton tokens and zombie tokens for you.
I do not have
Not yet.
of the zombie.
We will soon. Zombies have what, 8 AC? I believe that's the case. Yes, 8 AC. Excellent. And then you represent zombie. Save. And you represent zombie.
Theron was from the mainland, right?
What is?
Theron was from the mainland, right?
Yes, he's from Stromheim initially.
Yeah, so he probably doesn't have much strong allegiance to any or even awareness of Gadian politics.
Right.
I can bring him around to my way of seeing things.
We just fix the
Assuming,
zombie
yeah. Assuming Lilith gets to him and takes him out of commission before.
Yeah. If he were to arrive, it probably would be fine, right?
It'll be fine.
There
Ideally,
we go.
We will. Those are more skeletons.
3, 4, 5,
There's
6.
zombies.
You wanted 12 zombies?
Yeah.
That should be 12.
Ideally, we'll wrap up this battle in 15 minutes or so. Is that asking too much?
Oh, that's definitely asking too much. Let's just set it up, and then we'll play it out later.
Yeah, that might be what we have to do.
Yeah.
Aaron is off work
actually,
at 4:30.
If that's the case, then why don't we just end it now, and I will take the time between this week and next to give us to do a better battle map of the area and figure this stuff out more in depth. You can go ahead and position your people if you want, but I'll prettify it between this session and next.
Yeah. All right, it's a shame.
I know.
I want to do some battling too, but Theron's off work in an hour.
Yeah.
That's
fine.
I need to go pick her up. So, bring this in for a close, I suppose.
Yes. So this is going to be it for Dicing with Death today. We will be returning with Dicing with Death next week, probably.
That should work. It's a new quarter, so probably a new schedule. So we'll play it by ear, but for now we can aim for next Thursday.
Yeah. You might want to check in before Thursday to double check the time. It'll be on the countdown. Just do !CD in Twitch chat, and it'll give it to you.
And in the meantime, we got a Frou on Sunday.
Akuba Nights tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening if you're in Europe. Shenanigans on Saturday. And then GTC starts again next week, as does Rise of the Dragon Queen. And then Starfinder Dead Sons starts the week after that.
I saw some of the fan art for your character for that. Your investigator.
Yeah, I'm a 1920s lizard man investigator. Maybe not 1920s, but film noir style lizard man investigator in space with a gun.
Is the rest of your party film noir style investigators, or is
absolutely not? No. I'm gonna be the gritty lizard guy.
Well, sure, but is it a similar tone, or is it going to be?
No. I don't know what they are. They're a combination of things. They're alien bug people and androids.
Alien bug people and space assassins and...
Yeah, and they're mechanics with drones that they build and send out. And my guy uses a sword and yells at people. Sword? I've got a sword and a pistol. 2 pistols that I wear under my arms. Yeah. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Yeah,
all right.
His name is Riggs. Johnny Riggs. That's it for Dicing with Death. I hope you all had a good New Year and everything, and we'll be back with more stuff.
More stuff. Best stuff. My favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Happy New Year. Thanks for watching. And
bye-bye.